Welcome to Outline Channel. Today I will present to you an action and thriller movie produced in 2025, titled Ice Road Vengeance. Warning: this article contains spoilers for the movie, so be careful. The story begins with a man named Mike, who is about 70 years old and has finally managed to settle down and buy an apartment of his own. While moving his belongings, he finds an old letter from his only brother, who had asked him that if he passed away, his body should be cremated and his ashes scattered from the summit of Mount Everest, a wish that seems nearly impossible for a man of Mike's age. Yet out of loyalty to his late brother's will, Mike decides to travel to Everest through India. On the other side, specifically in Nepal, the roads surrounding Everest are extremely dangerous, barely wide enough for one vehicle. In this context, a bus was traveling along one of these roads when it was suddenly blocked by a car. The car's driver began ramming the bus repeatedly to push it off the cliff. The reason behind this attack was the presence of an old man inside the bus, the head of a simple village, whom they wanted to get rid of. The root of the story goes back to wealthy businessmen who wanted to build a dam on the village's river, but the village head refused, as did the villagers. News of the old man's death reaches his son through his grandson, who tells him his grandfather died in a car accident but suspects it was staged. This suspicion strengthens the father's resolve to oppose the dam project. Fearing they might face the same fate, the father and his grandson secretly sneak away and escape. Meanwhile, Mike prepares to travel to India, but the airport authorities prevent him from boarding the plane with the container holding his brother's ashes, and demand he place it in a plastic container. During the transfer, some of the ashes spill in the bathroom, and Mike has to gather them very carefully. He then arrives in India, where he meets a woman named Dani, with whom he had already coordinated to arrange his journey to Everest. Dani, a kind and friendly woman, drives him in her car, and during their conversation, Mike learns she was a former Special Forces soldier in the Malaysian army, while he reveals his experience as a heavy truck driver in the icy regions of Ireland. Mike remembers his late brother, who was a mechanic in the army, and was accidentally killed in a battle. Mike and Dani reach a bus station where they board a bus heading for Everest. The bus driver, named Spike, knows Dani and secretly loves her. They are joined by several friendly passengers. On the way, Spike hints at his jealousy of Mike, but Mike eases his mind with friendly conversation, and when Spike learns of Mike's experience driving heavy vehicles, he trusts him. Meanwhile, the grandson, named Rudra, talks with his father on the phone. His father tells him where he is going and asks him to catch up with him. Rudra boards the same bus that Mike is on, but he is followed by a man and a woman who had been watching him. Once they board, they attack Rudra and knock him unconscious, then hijack the bus and force the driver to take a specific route. But they didn't know that Mike was full of tricks. He surprises them and uses a sharp tool to open a small cover above one of the tires and punctures it. Smoke begins to rise from the tire, and Mike uses the distraction to ask Dani, with her military skills, to help him. A fierce fight breaks out. Dani fights the female kidnapper while Mike tackles the man and finally throws him out of the bus. As they overpower the woman, the tire explodes, and Spike loses control of the bus, which skids and spins before stopping at the edge of a dangerous cliff. Everyone gets off safely, including the captive woman. While they stand there, a police patrol arrives. Mike and Dani explain what happened and hand over Rudra and the woman to the officers, who take them to a nearby building. Meanwhile, Mike and Spike work on fixing the damaged rear axle of the bus. It turns out one of the passengers is a human rights organization representative who goes to check on Rudra, but becomes suspicious of the officers. Soon, another police force arrives along with a representative from the company trying to build the dam, aiming to interrogate Rudra. The human rights representative realizes the police are corrupt and understands the whole conspiracy. He decides to help Rudra and approaches Mike and Dani, revealing what he found out. Mike refuses to stand by idly. He takes Dani and the representative and heads to the building where Rudra is being held. At the door, Mike surprises the guard with a powerful punch, knocking him down and taking his weapon. Inside, they find an officer torturing Rudra, whom they overpower and free. But suddenly, the company's representative and his men burst in and point their weapons at them. The human rights representative confronts them, saying, quote, "I know all about your corruption and bribery, and I will expose you globally." The company man replies, "You won't get the chance," then shoots him dead. A firefight erupts immediately. Mike orders Dani to take Rudra and escape. Mike follows them, and finds the guard he had knocked out has regained consciousness. He knocks him out again. They reach the bus, but a police car blocks their way, forcing them to turn back, only to find their enemies waiting. The gunmen open fire, killing Spike. Mike takes the wheel himself, drives the bus forward, smashing through obstacles. He asks for a knife and cuts the ropes securing massive pipes on a nearby truck, causing them to fall and block the road behind them, allowing their escape. They continue until they reach a slippery, steep slope equipped with a winch to help vehicles descend safely. But suddenly, the winch breaks down. Mike reassures them, saying, quote, "Don't worry, you have a professional driver," and asks them to cut the winch cable. The bus speeds down the dangerous slope. Despite Mike's efforts to control it, it flips over. They miraculously survive, but the rear axle, differential, breaks. Mike notices old, wrecked buses at the bottom of the slope and suggests they search for a usable axle to install it. As they work, their bonds grow stronger, between Mike and Danny, and between Rudra and the other girl named Sarah. Meanwhile, the gang reaches the broken winch and starts fixing it to continue the chase. Back with Mike and the group, they manage to fit the new rear axle, and the bus runs again like a bride in her prime. Once on the move, Rudra leads them to his father's hideout. When the father sees his son, he is overwhelmed with joy and warmly welcomes everyone. But as he extends his hand to shake Mike's, Mike suddenly collapses. They rush him inside, where they discover that Mike had been hiding a gunshot wound in his side. Danny quickly treats him, removes the bullet, and they spend the day nursing him until nightfall. When things calm down, the father talks to Rudra, saying, "My son, I am not as strong as your late grandfather. He was a wise and tough man, but I don't see myself like him." Rudra replies, "Why do you say that? You are a hero in my eyes." The father says, "No, my son, I'm not a hero. I am ready to die for you. You are the most precious thing I have." He then tells him his plan to smuggle him to China, to keep him out of the gang's reach. Meanwhile, Danny sends Sarah to fetch water from a nearby lake. On her way back, a corrupt policeman stops her and tries to kill her, but Danny ambushes him, kills him instantly, and saves Sarah before anyone notices. Luckily, the policeman was alone, and the night passes peacefully. At dawn, Mike wakes up feeling better, but Danny is angry with him for hiding his wound, though she secretly admires him more. They all set off by bus toward a transfer point with a winch that will carry the bus across a river, since there's no bridge. At that moment, the gang arrives at the hideout, discovers their route, and rushes to catch up before they escape. Rudra's father stands near the winch overseeing the bus's crossing. When he spots the gang approaching from afar, he quickly raises the bus and grabs his gun, trying to fight them off, but his bullets hit no one. They surround him and kill him. Moments later, one gang member runs to reclaim the winch and tries to bring the bus back. In this tense moment, Mike and Danny bravely clash with the gang. When Mike gets close to the winch, he attacks the woman trying to reverse the bus, and they get into a fierce fight until he strikes her on the head, knocking her out, then pushes the bus to finish crossing and jumps on at the last second. At the same time, Danny blows up fuel barrels to cause a massive explosion that covers their escape and blocks the gang's pursuit. They survive yet again by a miracle. But soon the gang catches up, starting another showdown. This time, they bring a rocket launcher, RPG. The woman fires a missile, but Mike cleverly maneuvers, causing it to miss the bus and hit the tunnel they're about to enter. Still, Mike drives the bus into the tunnel, just before its entrance collapses. However, a motorcycle manages to follow them inside. The biker gets ahead and plants dynamite at the exit to seal them in, but Mike doesn't give him the chance. He rams him with the bus, detonating the dynamite on him and saving everyone. As soon as they exit the tunnel, a car driven by a corrupt cop blocks them. Inside is the same woman Mike hadn't finished off at the winch. The chase continues until the woman breaks into the bus, captures Danny and Sarah, and beats them severely. Rudra rushes to Mike, shouting for help. "Help us! We're exhausted." Mike doesn't hesitate. He tells Rudra to drive the bus himself while he attacks the woman. She fights him fiercely and tries to escape to finish off Rudra, but at that moment, the policeman also storms the bus, and a brutal hand-to-hand fight erupts. Danny and Sarah finally manage to throw the woman out of the bus, while Mike throws the corrupt cop out the door too. Now Mike has only one option left: to end things with the company boss who wants to build the dam. He drives the bus forward without hesitation, surprises the man who has no chance to flee, and rams him with the bus, pushing him toward the cliff. After getting his companion's approval, Mike mercilessly pushes him over, ending the deadly chase. Soon after, they all return to the village, where Rudra announces to the people that they will build a small dam with their own hands to meet their needs, and will never let an outsider control them again. Rudra bids farewell to Mike, Danny, and Sarah warmly as they board the bus, finally heading for Everest. When Mike and Danny arrive, Mike cannot reach the summit due to his age and financial constraints. He speaks to his brother's ashes. "Sorry brother, I couldn't reach the peak, but here we are in the sky. This is enough." He scatters the ashes into the air, letting his brother's memories soar above the mountains. Danny drives Mike to the airport, and their farewell is heavy on them both. Neither of them confesses what is truly in their hearts. Mike enters the airport's duty-free market, where his eyes fall on a rope that reminds him of of an old conversation with his brother, who once advised him that life is more precious than death, and chances don't come twice. Remembering his brother's words, Mike changes his mind and rushes out of the airport to return to Danny. And what fate! He finds her waiting for him as if her heart knew he would come back. He approaches her without hesitation, finally hugs her, and they decide to live the rest of their lives together in peace.